Research 2023, November. So section A is qualitative. So research methodology is very important for any qualitative research project. The way in which data is collected, managed, underpin the analytical approach which will be used to analyze, and by extension provides the way in which the results are to be presented in the research report. The framework for the design helps investigators or inquirers to have many choices for guidance about the facets of the study, for assessing the general philosophical ideas behind the inquiry, on detailed data collection and analysis procedures. It also allows researchers to launch their plans and ideas all grounded in literature and be recognized by audiences. For instance, the faculty that read and support proposals for the research. With the forerunning as your guide, demonstrate with examples from your research concept, notes presented to the school or postgraduate, the contents that are stated in the subsections below. To complete the subsections, you need to state your topic and proceed to complete the following, bearing in mind qualitative research methodology. So my guide is this, that in the qualitative section, whether your research was quantitative, you need to change your perspective to the qualitative approach. So for Dr. Lumbwe, there is no mixed, there is no quantitative, it's a qualitative approach. So at this point, I'll ask any of you who have, so you need to have two topics in mind as you go into the research. Okay? One, if you did a quantitative research, well and good. But the lecturer doesn't know whether you had a qualitative or quantitative research. And of course, there are certain topics that can take up both qualitative and quantitative approaches depending on how you realign them. So, are we together on that point? Am I audible?
Yes, we are. Yes, you are.
Yeah. So, we can take up. So,
To assess the responsibilities.
is somebody talking? So, when we are adopting a qualitative research, we need to understand that we want to explore issues to do with phenomenon. Okay? So, qualitative research, all topics should underpin the understanding that you want to look at the individual's experiences, their perceptions. Okay? So, all qualitative researches that you're going to look at, the approach that you must investigate perceptions and experiences. So we've talked about a number of designs that are related to qualitative. Can somebody remind us what designs fall under qualitative and what sample sizes fall under qualitative before you make a mistake, and what types of analysis fall under qualitative?
So the design will have the case study, we have the ethnological and phenomenology and narrative.
Okay. So definitely what the lecturer is looking for when it comes to your research approaches. It can either be ethnographic, phenomenological, grounded theory, or case studies. Okay, already it qualifies you. Okay, so Dr. Lumbo doesn't want you to beat about. Once he sees, okay, I'm dealing with a descriptive or dealing with a survey, just know that is wrong. You can either choose from these ones: phenomenological, ethnographical, grounded theory, narrative, or case study. Then for the designs, you use either a single case study or multiple case study, or an exploratory design, or descriptive qualitative design, or can be an action research design that is under qualitative, it will qualify. The sample sizes that they're looking at briefly, you need to look at participants between 5 to 10 if you're looking at phenomenological or narratives. Between 10 to 15 are suitable for ethnographics. Between 15 to 20, these ones are suitable for thematic analysis. Between 20 to 30, you are looking at what? Stakeholder groups. Above 30, it's rare for qualitative. You are considering quantitative. All together. And the sampling techniques that you're going to look here for qualitative,
Collins, kindly repeat the numbers you were mentioning.
Okay, so for depending on the sample size that you're picking, generally the key thing is that the sample size must be what? Must be less than 30, right? But to be specific, the ideal sample sizes for the respective research designs will be as follows. Number one, if you're looking at 5 to 10, it's mainly very good for phenomenological or narrative, okay, because they're telling stories, a phenomenon. Between 10 to 15, we're looking at small ethnographics or case studies, all right? If we're dealing with between 15 and 20, we're dealing with thematic analysis or grounded theory. 20 to 30, we're looking at multiple stakeholder groups. So you got clear? You don't need to memorize this per se, but the idea with the marking criteria here, I repeat, it doesn't really necessarily have to be your actual research, because some of your researches may not qualify to fall under qualitative mindset. Okay. I'm uncovering what we had discussed. So what did we say are the appropriate sampling techniques under qualitative? You can only use the following that would be appropriate. It can be a positive sampling where you're going to select participants based on what? Specific characteristics. You can use snowballing where you're going to pick researchers who have potential participants, like a snow grows. We have limited information, but they'll tell you who knows who. Convenience where you're selecting whoever is available. Theoretical sampling where you're going to select based on imaging data or grounded theory. Maximum variation sampling where you're choosing participants that differ greatly on certain characteristics. So this is what these marks are looking for here. Altogether, you can't lie about it. So your proposal might have been wrong, but you mix things right here. Okay? How about data analysis? Which data analysis are we looking for?
Thematic analysis.
Yes, it's thematic analysis.
Descriptive.
Narrative.
Yes, descriptive.
Narrative.
Narrative, yes. Content as well.
There's content, there's grounded theory,
Yes.
there's imperative, phenomenological analysis.
Yes, so we talked about what is involved in each of them. So we talked about thematic analysis, which includes you identifying different themes. So it's used when you're dealing with qualitative approaches. So the analysis, in case they go down to what tools are you going to use? You're going to use NVivo or Atlas TI. Okay. Then content analysis, if there's an explanation, you justify to say you're going to use some thematic coding, categorizing contextual data and interpreting it. So you will manifest obvious content and against the underlying meaning. So this is another. Then we talked about what? Narrative, discourse analysis, okay? And narrative analysis, what each of them entails. So under narrative analysis, you're focusing on how people construct stories about their lives. So if it's a story, please come up, if it's possible, come up with stories or topics that could be appropriate from now as you discuss in your groups, okay? So are we together so far?
Mhm.
Any questions so far?
So Collins, you can only pick one method instead of highlighting all of them, isn't it?
Yes, you
If
just
it's
pick
the
one.
math
Yeah.
method.
Okay. You can pick one. Okay. So in you picking those topics is able to tell that this qualifies under um, qualitative. So I'll send some of the topics that you can look at and their focuses, just as your, by the way, for instance, exploring experiences of female marketeers accessing financial services in Lusaka. Already by this, you're able to tell that you want to focus on the challenges and perception towards what? Banking. The perceptions, already, you're talking about a qualitative research, the perception of teachers on the impact of free education policy in Zambia. That's another topic, which is purely qualitative. Youth perspectives on barriers, already you're looking at the perspective. An exploration, this is an exploratory research of community attitudes towards waste management. Okay, understanding the role of traditional leaders in conflict resolution. These are good topics that you can go with. Experiences of women in leadership positions in Zambian local. So all these ones, okay, we can pick on any one so that I can just digest it, because some of you may not be comfortable to talking about the topics that you chose. Which one can we pick here? Maybe the free education one. We can pick on this one here. What perceptions people have on free education. All together, so that I break it down for you. I'm not saying all of you should pick up on this one. It's a danger. I'll send a number of topics, but I just want you to be to have an idea of what the lecture is looking for. Are you together?
Yes.
Okay, so we want to look at the perceptions of teachers on the impact of free education in the rural. So this one basically follows a qualitative approach. Okay, what do you think can be the research approach for this one? So the 5 marks must be justified. So we've picked the topic. What topic? The perception on the impact of free education in rural areas in Zambia. Okay. The research approach that would be appropriate for this one would be what? A phenomenological approach. Why is it suitable? Because it explores the lived experiences and perception of these teachers. So the approach will enable the researcher to understand how these teachers will interpret and make sense of this implementation of free education. They'll focus on their subjective experiences. The study also capture the rich descriptive data on how the policy has influenced their teaching conditions. All right. Then what research design do you think can be aligned to that one? What do you think can be the appropriate research design? Unfortunately, he said he just wants even simple answers. I don't know that I can just give you the whole 5 marks by just mentioning a descriptive qualitative case study. That's all. But of course, some justification will be the case design will allow for in-depth thought exploration of a phenomenon. Since you're looking at the rural setting itself, you're not looking at other areas. You want to look at the challenges. Then what sample size are you going to look at? We're going to look at 12 to 15 teachers, okay, from 3 rural government schools in a selected district. You can maybe put Mumbwa or Iteji or Dundumwezi, all right? Are we following? So this is what the lecturer is asking. What sampling techniques do you think qualifies there? Impulsive,
Purposely.
yes. And what analysis can we use? thematic analysis, okay? So the POSI will be used to select participants who have experienced this policy only. It is appropriate because you're not going to choose anyone. You choose those that have experience. So teachers who have been teaching before and after the implementation, so they can give you the difference. Not the new teachers who just come because they can't tell you the difference. You justify. Analysis, we use thematic analysis, which involves you analyzing and reporting patterns and themes to draw transcripts that will be coded manually. So this is how this question is supposed to be answered. Am I clear? You get your 20 marks, and this was the compulsory question. Okay, can we move? Any questions before we proceed?
Collins. Sorry, I'm a bit confused about the approach. I don't know, for some reason I figured the approach is about the quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods. Now, I don't know, I don't understand. Is there a way you can clarify for me?
What's your question, to be specific?
Research approach, according to this one, you said it's which one are we picking again?
The research approach. We said we're using a phenomenological.
Phenomenological.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe I just want to understand when they say approach, what exactly do they mean? Because I thought it's maybe approach, is it qualitative, is it quantitative, or mixed methods?
No, it was already taught that this is a what? This is already qualitative research method. So you're already given that. So that one is already defined. This is qualitative research component. So and nothing should be bordering on quantitative. This section is only for qualitative. It's strictly, that's why your assignment test 1, test 2, those that were putting mixed method were getting it wrong because his concern is qualitative. That should be in your mind.
So we can
And
just go to a topic that we can just come up with a
Yes,
topic that
exactly.
fits quality.
That's what I advised. You can come up with a topic that is qualitative. Okay. A variable is a characteristic or attribute of an individual organization that measure, observe, and varies among individuals or organizations studied. Researchers seek to collect information which aims to address various purposes for their study, e.g., leadership style, achievement in mathematics by students, interpersonal communication skills by counselors. Okay, discuss and provide examples from your research proposals presented to the school postgraduate the following. Number 1, your dependent variable. Number 2, your independent variable. And number 3, your moderating variable. Okay. So by now you know what dependent variable is and independent variable. So we can use the same topic that I just gave you so that we move fast. Is that okay? So what is the dependent variable there? And independent and moderating variable from the topic. Let me beam the topic again. What was our topic? So from the topic,
Perceptions of the impact of the free education policy in rural Zambia.
okay, so be consistent with your lies. So if you lie that this is your topic, let's be consistent now. What are the variables that we're going to get from here?
We have perception of teachers and free education policy.
Okay. We have perception
of teachers, which is the independent variable, and free education, which is dependent variable.
Which one is the dependent variable? So the topic's perceptions of teachers on the impact of free education policy in rural Zambia. Okay, you can say case of what? Case of Vugwi district, if you want. So independent variable is what? Free education. The dependent variable is what? Teacher's perception. Then your moderating variable is what? Infrastructure from the context of the school or resource availability. So these are the identifications from the conceptual framework. So these are our independent variable, moderating variable, and dependent variable. Is that clear? The result is what we're looking at, the perceptions of the teachers. Free education is our input. It's what we are manipulating. Change before the free education policy, now there's a free education policy. Is that clear? So these marks were too many. 9 marks, 8 marks, 8 marks. Any questions?
Collins, so now since the question says briefly discuss, so meaning we're supposed to explain like briefly on all these variables, right?
Okay, so if that is clear,
So have you gotten my question?
what was the question?
I was saying the question says briefly briefly discuss. So now we've just given a simple diagram which shows independent variables, dependent and moderating variables. But then here it's saying discuss. Are we supposed to now discuss the 3 variables in relation to the topic?
Yes, you need to give an overview, and because it's just an abstract template. That's a suggested topic that I've just given for you to explain the variables, how they are interlinked. Okay, I don't know whether you need me to explain this example that I've given, but you need to explain how it is a dependent variable or an independent variable or moderating variable. In what context is it? So for this one, I can explain if you want me to show a template on how the explanation must be done. Okay, I'm just saving time to avoid that we cover as many questions.
Mr. Ndlovu.
Hello?
Sorry, Mr. Ndlovu, I've got a question. Can you
Yes, I can get you.
hear me? Hello?
I don't know. Breaking or it's me.
When I was doing my proposal, yes, I can hear you. When I was doing my proposal under the research approach, I just said I'm going to do a qualitative approach.
Yes.
So now I'm saying this because I was thinking the phenomenological is under the research design as well as if I'm going to do ethnographical, and the others case studies. So in the research design, I had put the case study. And then for the research approach, I had indicated I'm going to do a qualitative one, which is going to look at an in-depth look at the lived experience of people receiving minimum wage, because my proposal is about the impact of the minimum wage on the economic well-being.
Okay, yes. And what's your question on that now?
My question is, was I wrong to just say it's a qualitative approach for my research approach? I just said I'm going to adopt a qualitative approach. And then on the research design, I indicated that I'm going to do a case study
That's okay.
to allow me to do, and
That's correct.
it's okay?
That's correct. Very correct. Yes.
Okay, because I was getting confused because now I'm seeing you're putting phenomenological, which is I'm thinking it's a research design under approach.
No, that's correct. Because we initially started by explaining what available approaches are there, okay? And what available research designs are there. I don't know whether we need to go through that again. So again, maybe let me ask the class again, what research approaches are there and what research designs are there?
So Collins, the approaches are three. There is qualitative, quantitative, and mixed.
Yes. That's
Then
correct.
each one of the approaches has the designs, like a qualitative will have phenomenological, ethnographic, narrative, case study, and the quantitative as well. Maybe someone can pick it up from the descriptive and all that.
Uh-huh. That's correct so far. The others, what are they saying? So to start with, you've already been told the approach that you're using here is qualitative. So you cannot mismatch.
I think what's confusing here is the fact that we are saying research approach, yet we only have three types of approaches. So are we supposed now to repeat the same words, qualitative, and then put it under research approach? I think that's the confusion that is there.
From my end, I think we are supposed to repeat it there. Just repeat it, and you just maybe put a few notes why we're using the qualitative one. Because it's clear, he said qualitative, and then when he asks about approach, there's nothing else that we can state apart from one of the three, and him is inclined to qualitative.
Okay, so I think that is clear. I emphasize that over and over. I'll send another link just shortly so that we continue this class before we go to, let me just beam the research approaches. Let me send a new link so that we continue our class.
Okay.